saw it first. Hello there, stranger, and welcome to my channel. I'm about to slip this paper onto the floor. I gotta control myself. I'm the Hermit Tarot, and this is my free tarot reading channel. I do a lot of other things on here now, but today's reading is definitely a tarot reading. We are doing a pick a shell, pick a shell, say less reading today. I don't have any announcements to make except for, wow, this reading was just a little bit frustrating, to say the least. I feel very protective over the people who come to watch my videos, and the main reason that I like to offer these videos is to bring you clarity. I want to bring you information. I want to use my gift to give you info so that you can take that information if you want and use it to move forward in your life. But today's video, it was just straight out the box weird, man. It was weird. Before we get any deeper, I'm wearing a face mask that's the same color as my skin, so if I look weird and your eyes are trying to figure out why, that's why. The mask that I'm wearing is the same color as my skin. It's slightly more orange, I think, so it doesn't really match my chest, but that's what's going on. Now, the topic of today's reading is, why do people stare at you? Somebody on Instagram sent me this request, this suggestion, and I'm one of those oblivious people who will just walk and not care. I'm in my own little world. 95% of the time, I am completely out of it in public. In the sense of I'm just buying my groceries and thinking about the life that I'm manifesting while I'm doing that, you know? So I don't usually pay attention, but when she suggested this reading, I thought, oh my gosh, how fun, how entertaining. Yes, the community needs that. To be honest, I don't know if we did need this reading. I don't know if any of us really needed this reading, but was it entertaining? Hell yes. It was very entertaining to film, and I feel like I've just got to tell you, going into this video today, take the messages as you want to. I tried to steer it in a positive way. Nothing was negative, by the way, but definitely, you know, if it's helpful, it's helpful. If it's entertaining, and just leave it at that. Try not to read too far between the lines. Today's reading, more than anything, showed to me how little people think about the weird things that they do, especially staring. Like, the amount of conclusions that people draw off a glance is bizarre, and I hope that today's video really highlights that to you. So without further ado, follow me into the pick a group portion of today's video. Hi everyone, and welcome to the group selection portion of today's reading. So group one, we have you over here with this pick a pile section, and in this section we have a beautiful shell. I'm going to bring it up close for you. It looks very gorgeous. I don't know what species this one is. Perhaps somebody could tell me if you know. Gorgeous spiraling effect at the back. You can see that something did live in here once, and it's got these sort of browny tan colors. The brown is a bit striped and the tan colors go where the brown doesn't. And that has been your description for group one. Group two, you guys have a similar thing going on in terms of the colors, but the shape is certainly very different. We also have this white look at the back and a huge opening, which was made bigger by the chunk that is missing. However, I could tell that this was probably a hermit crab or a snail shell. So a very beautiful shell. It has a spiraling effect at the back there. Group two, that is your shell. Group three, let's just forget everything that you saw in group one and two, because group three is different altogether. We have this sort of pyramid effect from the side, and it shows this intriguing almost like a umbrella look from the top. Like, it's very incredible, and it kind of reminds me of those little umbrellas that you get in your cocktails, you know? Crazy that this just appears in nature. We can tell from the shape of this one, especially from the back, that it was clearly like a barnacle or something that kind of stuck to the rocks. A suction slug was probably in there. And you can see some more colors inside, including some purple hues. Very intriguing shape, intriguing design. 10 out of 10. Group 3, that is your shell. Group 4, you're different again, but I would say that this shell is probably one of the first shells that comes to mind when people think of shells, if not clam shells or just your regular kind of things that open like that. I think that a lot of people that live in tropical areas, you've seen this shell before. I still don't know what it's called though, but this is Group 4's shell. We have this beautiful look underneath, and as a kid I always used to like touching that part of the shell. I don't know if you can see, it has texture to it. Another creature definitely lived in this one. I don't know what it looks like, but it could be, from the looks of it, a slug or a snail. And we have this sort of brown look on the top, and as well as more texture. So it's a very textured piece, this one. And Group 4, that is your shell. So if you already feel called or drawn to a group, you can scroll down below, click on your timestamp, and join me in your reading. If you feel like you need more time, you can join me in the meditation portion of this reading, which is next. It's just a quick 1-minute meditation to help you tune into your intuition and really figure out which of these 4 groups you're feeling most called to. I'll see you in your reading.
So the first thing I want you to do with me is to take in 2 deep, mindful breaths. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4. Now I want you to focus on clearing your mind. It's natural to have thoughts racing at this point. I want you to embrace each thought as it comes and let it slip as quickly as it came in. Focus on clearing and balancing out these thoughts so that they come and go without a desire to be attached to them. And now, with a rested mind, I want you to think of the first group that comes to your mind. It may be a number, it may be an object that I showed you. It could be a specific color, it could be a feeling that you felt when I showed you each of the groups today. When you are ready and when you feel confident, select your group and join me in your reading.
Hi everyone, and welcome to your reading. So if you guys chose this beautiful shell, then this is going to be your reading. Group number 1, beautiful group number 1. This shell has a sentimental place in my heart, actually. I do really like that shell. I just cleared out this room, and now that I'm talking, I'm realizing how echoey it is, so bear with me. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do in post, we'll see, to try to make it more audible for you. But so group 1, we're asking Spirit today, why do people stare at you? Now we've got these oracle cards to get through first, and yes, I am wearing this shirt again. It's one of my favorite shirts at the moment, so just in case you noticed, if you're one of those people. Let's see what Spirit can tell us about why people stare at you. Bit of a tangent, your intro. Interesting. So Spirit, why do people stare at group 1? We have Hold Your Vision, Fixed Moon. We also have Radiate coming out. We have Wisdom. And we have Timing. Okay, so technically those were all in the upright. Let me just move them around. I confused myself by, I am readjusting the camera for us so that I can see the cards better. There we go. I confused myself by accidentally having the cards face the other way so that I could show you. All right. So We also have Will You Choose Me? This card is intentionally reversed. I remember from when I was shuffling. And I Could Be Your Hero, Baby. And Time to Ground Yourself. Yes. So you're a bit interesting, group 1. That's what I can tell you. The main reason that people like to stare at you is because there's something about you that comes across as quite stubborn, in the sense of you seem to, I don't know, you seem to be on to something. Whether it's the way that you dress or the way that you present yourself, you might come across as very busy. People seem to like to stare at you because you have this air about you that almost commands attention. I also get that a lot of people feel like they could learn from you, especially with the Hold Your Vision and Wisdom card here. It feels like people think that they could learn from you, and it feels like you have something that could be helpful to them. If it's not knowledge, like your energy, it comes across as very like, I need to kind of know more about that person. I do see here that you seem to be someone who doesn't let everybody in, so it kind of makes you more intriguing. Like, people stare at you because they seem to think that if they don't see what you're doing or know what you're doing, they're going to miss out on what you're doing. Complete strangers like looking at you because they're very curious about like what you're up to. It could be the way that you dress or just the way that you walk. You always seem to like have an agenda or you seem to look like you're going somewhere or look like you've got something serious about you. I feel like you're the kind of people that others look to for confidence. Like, if you're in a crowd setting and say the store is closing, I feel like most of the people in the store would be looking around, sort of listening to the PA system telling them that the store is closing, not really knowing what to do. Whereas you're the one who's like, okay, I gotta hurry up, grab my stuff and leave. And you're in full action mode. So people seem to look at you because they kind of follow your lead, especially with the Six of Wands reversed here. I also feel like people are curiously attracted to you. Like, there is a quality about you that kind of people want to stare at, but I feel like they try to do it sneakily, group 1. I feel like people try to look at you in a sneaky way so that you don't see them. With the Four of Cups reversed and the Six of Wands reversed, it does feel like they're trying to pretend like you can't see them, or they're trying to act like, oh, I'm just going to steal this glance. I feel like if people do stare at you, there is this feeling as though you aren't afraid to make eye contact back. Like, I don't know, I just feel like there's a side to you that even though you may not want that kind of attention, there's a part of you that feels like it's asking for attention. And I don't mean to make that sound rude. I'm sorry, I'm not a part of that group of people who thinks like that, but that's why people stare at you. Is there's something about you physically, either the way that you dress or the way that you walk, could be a body feature. I'm not sure. I don't want to talk about your body in that way though, but I do feel like people stare at you because they think that like you're asking for their attention. With Time to Ground Yourself, I definitely think that your presence commands attention, and it is very like authoritative in some way. Like, it's kind of like, again, people look to you to know what to do next, especially with this being under timing. You're either very busy or you come across as very calm in busy, stressful situations. I feel like if you work in like a team and, you know, you have customers who approach your team, they're going to approach you rather than your colleagues because you seem to be the person that knows what's going on. There is an air to you that comes across as very authoritative. Anything else we can get from the Oracle cards, Spirit? Yeah. I think that's it. Anything else? They keep hearing stubborn with this fixed moon. Stubborn. I don't know if you are actually very shy, but I feel like that's what people's misconception of you is that they don't think that you're shy, group 1. People who barely know you and who are just sort of staring at you or glancing at you, they do think that you're not shy, and that's why they like to stare at you, because I think that they're expecting you to start a conversation, or they're just thinking to themselves, well, someone like that must get stared at very often, or they might command attention very often. Yeah, that's kind of all I'm getting with these cards. So I'm going to pack these up. We're going to get tarot now. Put those over there. Okay, let's get some tarot. I'm still a fan of this deck. I haven't gotten sick of it yet. It's still one of my favorite decks. Okay, Spirit. Oops. I've got to be careful though. If I'm not careful, I might accidentally break it because of the way I shuffle at the moment. I've got to change my shuffling technique. All right, Spirit. Group 1. Beautiful group number 1. Why do people stare at group 1, Spirit? Oops. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. Cards, calm down. Why do people... I'm not liking the way that these cards are moving today. Why do people stare at group 1, Spirit? Why do people stare at group 1? Why do people stare at group 1, Spirit? We have the Ace of Swords reversed, yeah. You get a lot of people that, like, you get attention from a lot of people who want to talk to you. I've got to be honest with that. They're expecting you to start a conversation, and they're very curious about, like, what it is that you do. You seem serious. You seem like you know stuff that they want to know as well, especially lately. I don't know what's going on lately. Maybe you're working a lot, or maybe you're just like an online sort of... I don't get that from you though. I feel like people stare at you, group 1, because they want to talk to you. We have the Star card coming out. Yeah, there is some sort of online presence for you. There is some sort of admiration where people can actually look up to you, where people can gain information from you. Group 1, please, Spirit. Why do people stare at group 1? We have the 10 of Cups coming out reversed. I've been cleaning today, so I'm a little bit shaky because of the mopping and the vacuuming and the leaf blowing. Group 1, why do people stare at group 1? Why do people stare at group 1? Can we clarify that Ace of Swords, please? Why do people stare at group 1? Oh, y'all got this secret card, the extra card in this deck, Anant. Can we clarify the 3 of Cups, please? Oh, you got Destiny reversed. Can we clarify the Star card, please? You guys have the Tower reversed. You're so interesting, group 1. People have every reason to stare at you, if I'm honest. They also got the Knight of Cups and the 8 of Cups showing themselves to us. So I will put them out. Oh my gosh, I'm shaking so much now. Can I please clarify the 10 of Cups, please? We have the 6 of Pentacles in the reverse. Look at me. I've got to like put these cards down. And we also have the King of Swords coming out. Your bottom deck energy is the 5 of Cups. Okay. I've got to double check what Anant is because it is an extra card in this deck. Oh, I remember now. What goes around comes around. Anant basically means that it represents the circle of life and the infinite idea. The idea that consciousness is infinite, in the sense of like you in this lifetime will be reincarnated in the next lifetime, etc., etc., etc. So very interesting energy from you, group 1. I kind of feel, I just realized all my cards are flipped because I accidentally shuffled them both the wrong way. Anyway, I'll deal with that after. I kind of get here, group 1. It's following off from what we had in the first part of your reading, but obviously tarot is giving me more detail. People do like to stare at you because you seem to know things. I feel like they want to start conversations with you. They feel like they could have an interesting conversation with you. You come across as quite an introspective person and also just someone who has a lot to share. I want to say with Anant here that there's a side of you that seems to, like, what goes around comes around. Oh, I just got really major chills. So it kind of feels like you have this ability to explain things, or at least to start conversations that people might want to talk about. I feel like you have very specific views, or you have very specific ideas, or people expect you to, and that's kind of why they stare at you. I think that people kind of like to imagine what it would be like to have a conversation with you. I know that sounds bizarre, but I feel like you have the ability to really speak from a place where people want to know more. I'm almost getting that if you live in a community with a minority culture, people look at you and they think that you'll be able to shed light on that minority culture, especially with the way that we're trying to progress and be progressive. I feel like people look at you and expect that you'll be able to shed light on issues or things that they need to know more about. And they get it. I'm getting like a very compassionate, serious energy from you as well. I kind of feel with destiny reversed here that people look at you because they kind of, it almost feels like they want to know what your story is. Like, I'm not sure what's going on with your features or how you physically present yourself, but you immediately pique people's interest. They really want to understand you and to kind of know what your story is, where you've come from, how you got to be this way, because you come across as older than you actually are, or they just look at you and expect you to have a lot of experience. I don't know if you just act really mature for your age, but there's this energy about you that comes across as very serious. And I'm seeing over here with the star and the tower that whatever it is that you've been through, you don't seem to let it bother you. Like, you have this very much like, I'm an individual and I'm expressing myself energy about you. And I feel like this sets you apart from peers or from other people in your community. People stare at you because they do want to be your friend. Like, I am getting strong energy of like, I just want to talk to this person. I just want to understand them. I want to know them. And I almost feel like you represent like the future in some way. So I don't know, it's either because they want to know more about who you are. And again, coming back to that idea of being a progressive community, you seem to represent like something that could bring people together. You offer people an idea of like, okay, so this is what it could be like. And it could be as simple as like, maybe you're in a couple relationship, and when you're in public, you know, you're loud and proud about who you are. Well, I don't even want to say loud and proud. Maybe you're just being you, and people kind of look at you and go, oh, I'd really like to know more about like that. Because maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, that kind of relationship wasn't accepted by society. Even if people said they believed that love is love is love is love, maybe society made it very difficult for that kind of love to be so open and public. There's an aspect of you that is public, and it's not you being loud and proud. Like, I'm not getting a strong Leo energy here. I'm just getting an energy of like people genuinely looking up to you and wanting to know more about you and the qualities that you have, because something in your physical appearance gives people this idea that you have answers that they need. I'm also getting here with the Tower reverse that there is something about you that comes across as like you've been through things and that you seem to know how to get through these things. So specifically what I mean about that is that if other people are going through a similar situation, they look to you to know how to get through that. You seem to be this pillar that others can turn to. And it seems like you may have some sort of following or an audience where people can get information from you without needing to talk to you directly. It's almost like you guys are famous in some way. Like, you represent someone that others go to when they need clarity or guidance or just understanding with the Star card. The Star is a healing energy, but it heals through its own actions. It's not someone who's out here giving people medicine and bandages and surgery. It's very much a like, look what I've done to heal. This is how you can do it too. So it feels like you're showing and showcasing, like you're a product of that healing and of that acceptance and individuality. I also think with the Knight of Cups down here and the Eight of Cups that whatever it is that you've been through, you haven't let it stand in your way. You've been trying to use it as not ammunition, but as a way of appreciating now what you do have. You're very much someone who seems to move with what appears to be love. Like there's this energy around you that is emotional. And even though when people stare at you, they see you as someone who's very serious and somewhat busy, I feel like whatever this Eight of Cups is, it showcases someone who has had to walk away from situations that were no longer emotionally fulfilling, or something that was no longer emotionally acceptable. And it's really put you in the path of doing what your heart wants and following what your heart wants, which people admire. I think that the main reason that strangers stare at you, though, is that they're very curious about your family and about like what it is that you care about with this Ten of Cups. It's very interesting. People stare at you because they want to know more about your inner circle and about like your, I'm hearing like family and traditions and things, especially with the Six of Pentacles reversed. Even though you may have a platform, there's a side to you that comes across as very protective and secretive, and people genuinely want to know more about that. They stare at you for clues as to who you spend time with and how you spend time. And I think that with this King of Swords at the bottom, they're mostly just trying to figure you out, group one. They're trying to understand you, especially if people see you and you come across as very serious. I think that the first thing that they wonder is like, do they treat everybody like that? Like, who are they when they're just relaxed? You know, what are their family like? Do their family look like them? Does their family, you know, accept them? What does their family think? Like, that's the kind of energy that I'm getting here. And I feel like people are just genuinely trying to figure you out in that way, really like thinking about that. Why? Like the audacity. I don't know why people think they need to do these things. But anyway, that's what I'm getting with the tarot. Is there anything else with the Six of Pentacles and the King of Swords, please, Spirit? Yeah, I feel like most people try to hide that they're staring at you, but you know, like you get that energy. Like I'm not seeing people looking at you directly. I'm seeing people like glancing and kind of staring, and yes, you may lock eyes with certain people, but I feel like for the most part, people are just like curiously stealing glances at you. They don't want to come across as overtly rude. Like these people don't have a problem with you. They're just genuinely trying to figure you out. And I feel like if you do have an audience where people can stare at you, the main reason that they follow you is because they want to know what you've been through, and they want to like liken themselves to your results. Like, how can I get what this person has achieved for themselves? I think that's all. Oh, the Five of Cups reversed. We got to talk about that. You are someone who seems to have gone through emotional changes, or you're someone who comes across as very emotionally progressive. So it feels like either like you have something about you that looks like, again, it wasn't accepted by society in more recent terms, or it just, you seem to be someone who knows how to cope with change or emotional change. You seem to be someone who knows how to get through situations that require like temperance almost, or acceptance. Let's say acceptance. It's not about tempering. It's more about like you accept something and then you still push through it. Like, yes, this may be what's happening now, but this is what I want for my future. So I'm going to push towards that. I don't know how people get all of this just from a glance, but I feel like that's the main reason that they stare at you. They're very curious about you. They feel like they could learn from you. You have something about you that just draws people's attention. And there are people who seem to just full on stare at you, but most of the people who will look at you, group one, they are doing it because they're genuinely curious and they don't want to come across as rude. They just want to know more about you, and they feel like you'll help them. Knowing more about you will help them get through cycles that they've been stuck in, with Ananta reversed here. It feels like you're someone who's been through things, and you still have this radiant energy about you that could be very healing from their point of view. So that's the main reason, aside from the rude people, that people stare at you. Now I'm going to pack this up, and we're going to get charms as well. Ooh. Okay. Put that over there. Group one, please, Spirit. Why do people stare at group one? Okay, let's see what we can get. Oh, straight off the cuff. Why do people stare at group 1, please, Spirit? Why do people stare at group 1, please, Spirit? Okay, that's all we're going to be able to get for you guys. Let's see what came out. Oh, I like that. This is nice. The peace ring. So the main reason that the peace ring comes out is because you seem to offer an opportunity for hope as well as peace. So it does come down to that star energy of healing. And I feel like the community that you're in, the main reason they stare at you is because they do want to understand you. They want to understand people like you, and they want to know how to move things forward for peace. I do think that you represent this energy of help as well. Like that message we got originally of like, if you're in a group and, you know, customers need to know what to do or somebody needs to know what to do, I feel like people will turn to you first, group 1. People will look to you first for information because they genuinely feel like you know what's up. I feel like group 1 knows the answers. I do think that people genuinely want to know more about you though, with this oyster shell being open. It's like people want to know what your world is like and what your traditions are like, what your family's like, what you're like behind closed doors, which is super interesting, especially if you have a following. I do think that there's a private side to you that comes across as very like controlled, or at least very secret and safe. And it feels like the main reason that people want to stare at you is because they want to know more about that side, what happens behind closed doors. I also think that there's a part of you that just gets people's attention though. And I think that a lot of people do feel guilty for staring at you. But the main reason that they do is because they seem to want to get beneath the surface. Like, your physical attributes are very like commanding and attention grabbing, but more than that, people genuinely just want to get below the surface here with this heart being open. I also feel like there's an emotional side to you. Like you come across as serious, or at least like you have something that you need to do. When people who don't know you and they see you walking in public, you seem to be very much like on a mission for something. But I also think that this seriousness, like maybe some people are concerned about you as well. You seem to pull people towards you. I know that that sounds terrible, but a lot of people genuinely like look to you to just kind of check, like, is this person okay? Are they all right? I don't know why people are so concerned. Do you walk around at night a lot? That could be another reason. It just feels like you get those people that stare at you because they just want to make sure that you're okay and that you're not wandering around and drawing unwanted attention as well, and then they become the people who are giving you unwanted attention. Yeah, that's an interesting message. We have the can opener here, so I do feel like again, expression. People admire the way that you express yourself. People admire the way that you open up and the way that you choose to show yourself. There is something about your appearance that people want to admire as well. And I feel like they want to know more about that. You may have people commenting on things that you wear or the way that you do your hair, and that's just a subtle clue of what most people who stare at you are looking at as well. We have that again with the bottle being open. So I do think that for the most part, people stare at you because they just want to start a conversation with you. They think that you're physically interesting, and they genuinely want to express that as well. You do have this soothing energy about you, this very healing energy. I feel like you come across as someone who just, you seem to know things. I don't know, that's the best way that I could describe it. With the amethyst and all the intuitive hints that we were getting, like, you seem to know things and people are very drawn to that. You do have like a healing energy about you, so maybe unknowingly that's another reason why people are drawn to you and why they stare at you. We have your past here, so you may have one of those faces that people think that they recognize, or you may have a familiarity about you that people feel like they know, but otherwise you seem to remind people of their past somehow. People stare at you because it reminds them of something in their past, with the past charm. And with this circle here, I do think that it's that Anant symbol again of things coming full circle and wanting to do things better. So especially if you get a lot of older people staring at you, I feel like they are curious. And the main reason, aside from the rude people, the main reason that those older people want to look at you is because there is this feeling of doing things right and coming full circle, not repeating cycles that are harmful, and gaining more information on how to be appropriately progressive in society. So that's a heavy burden to bear, and it's not one that we feel comfortable with. Sometimes we can't choose, some of the things that we're born with, but I honestly think that that's why some people stare at you as well. So group 1, that's what I'm getting for you. It was an interesting reading. I tried to make it specific, but there's honestly a lot of reasons why people stare at you, group 1. You may have messages in other readings. If not, it's been a pleasure reading for you today. As always, take what resonates. Don't let the rest take from you. Thank you so much for all of your support, and I shall see you in another video. Bye. Well, hello, group number 2. Welcome. I was just having a drink of water and I accidentally spilled half the lake on the table. Let me just wipe that off. I am wearing this shirt again. It's one of my favorite shirts. So group 2, welcome. What a tangent. Me again. If you guys chose this beautiful shell, this gorgeous beach gem, then this is going to be your reading. So we're asking Spirit today, why do people stare at you? Why do people stare at you? This was a suggestion by someone on Instagram, of all places, I know. And I honestly was like, yes, let's run with it. Let's see why people stare at us. I'm curious too, even though, low-key, I just don't even bother paying attention. I'm terrible in public. If you see me in public, I'm just in my own little world, running my errands. But let's see why people stare at you, group 2. The first card we have is Confidence is the Key to Your Success. We got Oracle cards first, and then we'll get some tarot. We also have Evolution. Beautiful. We also have Bravery. Excellent. We also have Rebellion. Oh my gosh, group 2. From my channeled messages deck, we have I Still Don't Have All the Answers. This is the 2 of Swords. We also have They Are Waiting for You. And lastly, we have You Are Wrong. Interesting. Just going to check something quickly. Sorry, group 2. I thought my cat Kirk had knocked something over, but it was somebody else on the street. Okay, so you're interesting, group 2. Honestly, the main reason that people stare at you is because they find you very physically attractive, with Leo coming out. It feels like people admire your physical features, especially your face and your hair. People really like what your face and your hair look like. I also think that there's an air about you that comes across as confident when you're in public, especially when you're in a group of people. You seem to command a presence. Like, there's something very different about the way that you physically express yourself, especially when you're in a group of people, that others find very attractive. You come across as a unique person to look at as well. Like, there's something about you that's very trendy without sounding too millennial. You're very trendy, but you have a unique way of showcasing that trend. So even if you're into some sort of really specific way of dressing, you seem to embody that uniquely. With Evolution reversed, there's something very comfortable and familiar about your energy that people can gravitate towards physically. You're nothing super random and obscure and strange. You're very much as individual as you are. There's something very comforting about your presence that draws people towards you, group 2. You come across as a very proud person, and I feel like that's another reason why people stare at you with Bravery here, is because they genuinely just want to pick your brain and vibe with you. You could also just be a very funny person, and I think that people who are socially, how do I word it, socially open enough will want to have a funny conversation with you, or they'll strike up small talk with you. You may be the kind of person that gets stuck in a lot of small talk conversations. We have Rebellion over here as well. So I think that people like staring at you because there is this side to you, you're not again, like it comes back to evolution reverse. There's nothing completely strange and oddball about you, but there is something about you that seems to garner their attention in your physicality, similar to group one, but yours is very much more obvious. I do think that people like your eyes too. People actually on the other side, people like it when you stare at them. I feel like people like to be your center of attention as well. You come across as very loud. Did I say that already? I think I did. Maybe a bit outspoken at times as well. Rebellion. Yeah, there's something about you, especially when you're in a group. People like want to join the conversation. People feel more comfortable joining a conversation with you if there's a group of people around you. If you're by yourself, you're probably not getting that much communication, maybe some small talk, but I feel like the most interesting conversations you have are when you're in like a group social setting, because the more people are comfortable actually talking to you about the things that are on their mind. You seem to trigger some pretty profound things from people. I don't know if you mean to, obviously, but I feel like with rebellion here, like people just come out with some really strong worded things. And it's kind of like, oh gosh, like really? Really, you're going to say that to me? The Two of Swords is interesting down here too. I kind of feel like the main reason that people stare at you is because they do. It kind of comes back to what happened with group one. If you're locking eyes with someone who's staring at you, they do have something that they want to tell you or ask you. I feel like people want to ask you a question when they stare at you, but I feel like 9 times out of 10 they don't. They might just keep walking. If not, they'll probably engage in small talk, and then if your energy is like, leave me alone, they'll probably leave you alone. But I do think that they want to ask you something. What do they want to ask you? What do they want to ask group 2, Spirit? If I asked you to stay, would you leave? Oh my gosh, that's profound. For a stranger. 4 of Cups. You seem to be living your best life in many ways, and I think that some people, they see you exhibiting this energy and they kind of think to themselves, should I do that? Could I do that? Like, how did you find that? I remember when I used to be able to do that, or I remember when I wanted to do that and I never did. You guys come across as quite youthful, even if you aren't. And I do think that you trigger conversations or thoughts from other people who had the opportunity to live in a way that you seem to be living, like especially if you're very colorful, or if you're very like loud and proud, or if you don't dress like in a way where other people of your social status may dress, if that makes sense, whether you measure that by where you live or how old you are, or who you seem to be physically. It's like you don't fit that norm. That's not to the point where you're an oddball or you're very strange, but I feel like people look at you and they see you living your best life, and they're very curious about like, how did you do it, and how do you pull that off? You come across as very confident, and I think that that's the main reason that people stare at you. You may get people who are very similar to you stare at you, and they genuinely just want to know, like, how did you do that? How did you find your confidence to be like this? I do think that a lot of people want your attention they are waiting for you here. It feels like a lot of people want to talk to you. A lot of people want to be in your energy. You have a very infectious energy. You're coming across as a Leo, especially the 5th house, might I say, is what I'm getting. A lot of like fun and play and a little bit of drama. There's a dramatic energy about you, but it's not in your personality. It's more in the way that you look. You draw attention to your physical appearance, and then people are immediately like, oh my gosh, that actually looks like fun, or they actually genuinely look like they're enjoying themselves. How can I have that? And I do think over here with you are wrong. Some people just don't expect to see someone like you, or to see someone like you look the way that you do. So that's why a lot of people will stare at you as well. There is something about your appearance that pulls them towards you, the way that you express yourself. Yeah. Let's see what tarot can tell us as well. We'll see if tarot can give us more specific information. Okay, group 2, please, Spirit. Why do people stare at group number 2? Groupus Tupus. Oops. I have shuffled this before as well, so even though my shuffling isn't looking that great now, I did shuffle it before as well. Okay. Group 1, excuse me. I was about to say group 1. Group 2. Why do people stare at group 2, please, Spirit? We have the 5 of Wands coming out. Yeah, you do get a lot of attention. I feel like people compete for your attention as well. Group 2. Especially if you're in a group, they want you to see them. We have the 9 of Cups reversed now. Why do people stare at group 2, please, Spirit? Why do people stare at group 2? We have the Empress coming out reversed. Why do people stare at group 2? Why do people stare at group 2? We have the 10 of Swords coming out upright. Can I clarify the 5 of Wands, please? We have the, what is this? The World card, wow. I'm very shaky this morning, you guys, because I've been vacuuming and things, so my muscles are like... All right, can we clarify the 9 of Cups, please? Oh my gosh, please. The 9 of Cups. Okay, thank you. We have the Page of Coins coming out. What about the Empress? We have the King of Coins coming out in the reverse. And can we clarify the 10 of Swords, please? We have the Queen of Pentacles. Wow, so many pentacles. What? Not what I was expecting, if I'm honest with you. Bottom deck energy is the Page of Swords in the reverse. So yeah, people are very curious about you. Not in the way that group 1 though. Group 1 people were very, very, very curious about their like whole existence. For you guys, it's more that people are curious about conversating with you. You seem to get a lot of people who just want to have small talk with you, or people who want to strike up a conversation, want to know more in the moment about you, because in the moment there's something that really draws their attention to you. You seem to trigger an energetic response in people's minds that makes them want more of your attention. With the 5 of Wands over here, people like compete for your attention is what I feel. And I also think that this 5 of Wands is talking about like arguments as well and heated discussions. So it kind of feels like your energy or people's energies of staring at you, it really thrives in a group setting where there's a lot of people around you talking, and opinions are coming out and conversations flowing freely and overlapping, and there's like a lot of strong opinions coming out, and there's laughter, there's like genuine sort of banter, as well as just people like, oh, okay, like you can laugh at what I had to say. It's not really serious, but it's heated is what it feels like. And I think that with the World reversed clarifying that energy, it kind of comes, or the staring, should we say, comes from this idea of like, if I just get more of their attention, I'll be able to get the answers that I need, or I'll be able to get the recognition that I deserve. It's almost like what you say genuinely means a lot to the people who stare at you, and they, in that moment, they really do want your attention. That sounds so weird. It sounds so strange. They genuinely want your attention, group 2. They feel like your attention will help them understand or get that closure from that moment, especially if a lot of energy is exchanged or a lot of like opinions have been shared. It feels like your attention, staring at you and you staring back will give them that, yes. It's so weird. I can't relate to that at all. That's a very extroverted thing to do. It's like an assertive masculine thing to do. I don't know if you get a lot of masculine energy, even if it's not just men, you know, we're talking about energy here, but people who come across as very masculine seem to be very drawn to you. Now, I'm spitting all over these beautiful cards. I'm talking with a trippy tongue. The other reason why people stare at you, group 2, with the 9 of Cups over here and the, what is this, Page of Coins, there is a feeling that they definitely want your energy for self-serving reasons. To be recognized by you is like, you know, when an attractive person's paying you attention and you're just like, ah! They noticed me. That's literally what it feels like. People are very attracted to you, so your attention goes a long way. I also think with the Page of Coins that people genuinely think that they'll gain a lot from their experience with you. You come across as someone who has a youthful energy about you, and yet there is genuine experience behind that. So when people interact with you, and especially when they stare at you, they expect genuine results. Like they expect a genuine smile, a genuine interaction. If you give someone attention, it seems to like really affect their mood. And if you don't give someone attention, also affects their mood, group 2. That's just what I'm seeing here. Now with the Empress reversed, I do see that a lot of people who are staring at you are seemingly curious about your circumstances at the time that they cross your paths with you, because I don't know, there's misconceptions over how you express yourself and how you were able to express yourself. So I guess people are mostly curious about, is this something that you do all the time? Like, especially if you're out in an outlandish outfit, maybe it's just your regular schmegula-degula clothes, but people are curious, like, do you do this all the time? Is this who you are all the time? You always like this? How is this financially viable? Like, I feel like, again, a lot of masculines, or just a lot of practical people in this case, are very drawn to you because they're wondering how you maintain this physical appearance as well. Yeah, very attracted to you. That's the main reason, okay? That yes, there's other reasons why people stare at you, group 2, but the main reason is because you are literally very attractive to people. That's the main reason that I'm getting with Empress and the King of Pentacles. Both energies of those cards are very attractive, very physically attractive. I do think that people like your physicality, okay? That's my nice way of saying that people are attracted to your body, specifically your melons. I don't know why. Even if you're a lad, even if you don't have like many melons up here, there's other melons on your body that people are attracted to. Stop it. It's not supposed to be that kind of reading. What else am I getting? Yeah, there's something about you that comes across as very visually pleasing to the eye. So I think that you do get a lot of attention, group 2. I think that, and a lot of it is very, very much like people wanting you to notice them noticing you. Like in group 1's people, they were trying not to be rude. There were some rude people I picked up on, but most of them were like trying to steal glances. But for you, group 2, I think that people want you to see them staring at you, and they want you to start conversations with them. Over here with the Ten of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles, I do think that aside from your physical appearance, people are also curious about like what you have to say. I feel like not being acknowledged by you is very much as impactful as being acknowledged by you. Like if you ignore someone or if you choose not to talk to them, I do think that you are still someone that they think about later that day. Like, you know how, especially if you experience anxiety or if you're just introverted in general, you may know like when you have interactions with certain people and it's awkward or it's just like very like much a highlight, before you go to bed, like, I don't know if this is just me, but they replay in your mind, especially if it was an awkward interaction. And before I go to bed, I'm always like, damn, why did I two-step that person? I should have just kept to the left. They were clearly going right. Like, why? And then you do this awkward thing where you're like, excuse me. Oh. So it's similar to you. Whether you choose to acknowledge people or not, I feel like they'd be thinking about you long after you've physically left. So you have a pretty profound impact on people, group 2. There are many reasons why they stare at you, but the biggest reason is because they find you physically attractive and they genuinely just want to be noticed by you. And with the Ten of Swords here, I see that if somebody has the opportunity to talk to you and they don't, they do often regret it. They feel like they've almost betrayed themselves by not seizing that opportunity. The Ten of Swords is like getting in this case, it feels like stuttering or just not knowing what to say or feeling like really under pressure in that moment. And I think that people literally think about that for a while after you've passed, like after you've separated and you're going on about your day. The other reason why the Queen of Pentacles is here reversed is because it kind of comes back to this feeling of like, I want to say curiosity and wanting more information about you, about your personality specifically, because you're very physically attractive and people, that's mostly why people stare, but they also just want to like be able to have had a conversation with you is what I feel, to get to the bottom of like how attracted are they to you. Gosh, this has been a strange reading for the group so far. I'm going to pull charms now to see if we can get any other specific messages. This is a very peculiar topic. It's just supposed to be a lot of fun, but it's honestly like confusing me as a reader because those energetic exchanges are so small sometimes that it surprises me how much information comes through or how much people have thought about those exchanges, especially for you. People really think about their exchanges with you, especially if they're only glancing. They really think about that and what they wish they had said and what they wish they could physically have done. Okay, group 2, please, Spirit. Why do people stare at group 2? Nope. Oh my gosh. Yeah, wow, that's different. That's unusual. Okay, so I'm not surprised, but I'm a little bit shocked. A lot of people stare at you because they're genuinely jealous of you. This is my jealousy charm. I mean, please, it's 2021. Can we just love each other? But that's another main reason why people stare at you. They're genuinely jealous of you. Oh my gosh. I like this pendant. Maybe I should start wearing it again, but I don't want jealousy on me. No, let's not. I also see with these two charms here that a lot of people stare at you because they do want to start a conversation with you. And again, it comes back to that feeling of like, if they don't, they often regret it. A lot of people just genuinely find you interesting and they want to talk to you. There is an unknown reason as well. Like, I feel like you attract glances from people who don't really know what's going on with you. Like, this is Moonstone and it comes across as a very intuitive energy in the charm bag. It feels almost like we need to know more, we need to understand more, we need to feel like why. So I think that a lot of people are attracted to you and they want to know more about why or how deep that attraction goes. Trying to figure out if they could fall for you almost. It's interesting to say the least. We have the Hello Kitty here, so I genuinely think that you're just a fun person to be around with all that 5th house energy. You come across as very social and extroverted, especially in a group setting. You seem to be someone who a lot of people want to give you attention and as well as have your attention. So a lot of fun, especially if you're in a dancing situation. I feel like a lot of people just want to dance with you. Very physically attractive though. I'm thinking of like a dancer's body. Very physically attractive. Okay, so we also have the owl here. So I do think that there's a fun side to you that helps people forget seriousness and just genuinely connect in a lighthearted way. This owl represents like ruby wisdom. So kind of gaining information and seeing the best out of the situation moving forward. But in the reverse, it's almost like you're a bit of a distraction to some people. And sometimes it's actually a helpful distraction. Like, I think that people do enjoy like the energy that you bring into their lives, even if it's just for a quick second of glancing. So interesting you are, group 2. We also have the commitment charm. So I do think that another reason why some people stare at you is because they want to understand you and get to know you better. You have the attention of people who are like looking for relationships, whether that's friendship or love, and they genuinely just want to know if like you're someone that they would want around more long term. So that's another reason why people stare at you. I do think that they want clarity, like they want to understand you better, and they also want to understand the situation better. So people do stare at you to know more about you, basically wanting to start those conversations. This was the first charm that came out. This earring is like a beautiful diamond sort of flower. It's probably just rhinestones, but still, I feel like this is like a token of appreciation. I think that the people who stare at you want to be noticed by you. They want to reciprocate. They want to feel like you appreciate what they are doing. And that's so bizarre, isn't it? Like, that's a very old way of thinking. Like, people staring because they want you to feel appreciated. So they want you to acknowledge that you're appreciated for them showing you attention. So I feel like that's a subconscious thing. I don't think that most people do that knowingly, but I think that you catch a lot of people staring at you and they're in that situation where it's kind of like, oh, this is awkward. What do I do? Let me just smile. They've caught me already. Let me just smile and like, hi, sorry, I was staring at you. We also have the coin here. So people seem to be very curious about your physical details. I don't know. Do you have a nice car? Do you have a nice handbag? Do you have nice shoes? Do you have nice clothes? Do you have a nice haircut? There's something about your physicality that people are very attracted to and they want to know more. That's why they stare at you, especially if these are ladies or like people of your dressing style. So it doesn't even have to be ladies, to be fair. It's people who are staring at you are also curious about what you physically own at the time that they're staring at you, and they want to know more about that. I do think that there is a warmth to you, though, that runs deeper. Although people are attracted to what you physically own or what you're physically wearing, I also think that another reason why people stare at you is because they want to know more about like the way that you do that, like the way that you dress yourself and express yourself. You do come across as very confident and someone who's almost a bit of a trendsetter in their own ways. Like, yes, there's something comfortable about you that follows a trend, but there's also a side to you that was rebellious in people's eyes. So I think that those people who weren't able to rebel in the way that you do, they're very curious about that and how you embody that with so much confidence, apparently. You do come across as selfish, and I don't see this in a bad way. My selfish charm in your case is saying that you're very self-serving. And again, it comes down to your expression. Like if we're talking about strangers acknowledging you, the main reason that they do want to glance your way and stare your way is because they're interested in the way that you express yourself. As simple as that. And with these two rings coming out, I do feel like people want to connect with you. People want to have conversations with you, understand you, know you, and really be noticed by you. So group 2, that's what I had for you. That's why people stare at you. It's been an interesting reading. I hope it was fun. Obviously take it with a grain of salt. A lot of messages came through. The overall reason why people stare at you is because they do find you very attractive. So I hope that that in itself has helped pick your energy up and give you something beautiful to think about. Look after your beautiful selves though, group 2. Thank you so much for all of your support. Take what resonates. Don't let the rest take from you. And I shall see you in another video. Bye. So hi group 3 and welcome to your reading. If you guys chose this little periwinkle looking shell, I think it's actually a barnacle, not a periwinkle, but if you chose this little shell over here, then this is going to be your reading. We're asking Spirit today, why do people stare at you? Now I'm laughing because it's been interesting to say the least. Doing group 1 and group 2 first has revealed a lot of curious behaviors amongst people. And honestly, I feel like there's a lot of reasons why people stare, but let's see why people stare at you, group 3. We have surrender to the divine full moon. Ooh, I heard the word enamored. We're also being shown protected. Interesting. We also have instinct coming out for you. And we've got fun. And from my channeled messages deck, we have I lie awake thinking about our future, the 4 of Swords. I have so much desire for you, the Ace of Wands. I remember who you are now. I remember seeing these cards come out. And we also have the 2 of Cups reversed. I feel the same way. So honestly, you are the group where people will stare at you, group 3, because they want to know how they can get into your inner circle. Like, I feel like people notice you and you come across as like a really fun energy. You come across as someone that people want to know more about. The main reason why people stare at you is because they feel a pull to you naturally. There's an energy about you that is just so magnetic. It feels like, this sounds corny, but it feels like the divine is pulling them your way. I feel like people often like daydreaming about you, or they kind of let their thoughts wander across you, especially like strangers, you guys. Like, this is bizarre, but I feel like when you first meet people, or when people don't really know you, they almost like to romanticize the thought of you. Like, I'm getting a Libran energy from your group, which is peculiar because there's no Libra in the cards technically, but it does feel like that. We have some fun energy here, and we also have instinct over here. So I do think that there's something quite conventionally attractive about you that automatically pulls people in, and for some reason people feel safe around you. You come across as like a very accommodating energy. Maybe, you know, especially when people don't know you very well yet, you have this energy that kind of pulls people in, and it makes people feel really warm inside. I also think that with the Four of Swords here, that a lot of people just like to think about you in general. Like, a lot of people do think about what you're like, and what your future together will be like. There's a feeling of privacy here, and the form in general is making me think that like that warmth feels like home to you. Like, it's giving me Cancer energy, the fourth house energy, just really cozy and protective. Yeah, it feels like the main reason why a lot of people stare at you is because you just give off this energy of like warmth and connection. Makes people want to know you better. You are attractive to a lot of people, though, with the Ace of Wands here. A lot of people find you inspiring as well. And I do think that a lot of people aspire to be like you. So however you present yourself, you seem to garner a lot of looks because people aspire to be like you in some way. The Ace here is talking about creativity, like a creative flair to your look. And the first impression is that you have something that people want as well, is what I feel. Yeah, I get an overwhelming feeling around you. Like, there's comfort, but there's also just like just wanting to offload everything onto you type of energy. Like, just wanting to open up and tell you everything about how my day was. And maybe you do have like random, deep and meaningful conversations with people, especially when you're in this fun energy. I feel like a lot of people just feel very like trusting of you, which is so bizarre. And yet it has personally happened to me too sometimes. So it's just kind of like, I could see it happening to someone like you often. I'm trying to figure out if there's anything else that I'm picking up before I go over to tarot. Yeah, I just kind of get this overall energy that people just like to look at you. And I know that that's super creepy, especially with my shirt looking at you right now. But I do think that it comes down to your looks as well. Like, people just genuinely like to look at you. And I don't think that these people have any intention of telling you that or talking to you about it. I think that there is sort of like a curious attraction there that like you're one of those people apparently that is like textbook attractive. Group 3, you're someone who like everyone's like, yeah, of course they're attractive. Maybe they're not like my subjective version of what I would want, but yeah, group 3 is attractive to everybody. Like, what do you mean? Of course. So I do think that you get a lot of attention because of that. You may have looks that are either conventionally attractive or that fall in line with the beauty standard at the moment is what's coming to mind. I also think with the Two of Cups reversed here that you strike them as someone that's just easy to, like, what you see is what you get, easy to read type of energy. Like, there's no sort of mistakes or stepping on your toes. Like, you come across as a light-hearted, open-hearted, easy to read person. You seem to just sort of say it how it is and present very transparently, which I feel that people appreciate as well. But that's kind of what I'm getting so far. I'm going to get tarot now because I want to get more specific. Why do people stare at you? Okay, group 3, please, Spirit. Why do people stare at group 3? Why do people stare at group 3? Why do people stare at group 3, please, Spirit? Why do people stare at group 3? Oh, why do people stare at group 3? Oh, not the Ten of Swords coming out. Reverse though. Why do people stare at group 3, please, Spirit? We also have the Five of Cups coming out reversed. Why do people stare at group 3? We also have the Queen. Who are you? I believe this is the Queen of Wands. Why do people stare at group... Oh my gosh, excuse me. Why do people stare at group 3, please, Spirit? We have the Five of Swords coming out reversed as well. I'm just going to clarify each of these cards real quick. Can we clarify the Ten of Swords, please, Spirit? Why do people stare at group 3? Two of Wands coming out for you. Why do people stare? We do also want to be shown the Three of Pentacles reversed. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people want to like aspire to be you or learn from you is what I'm getting. Why do people stare? We have the Justice card. There's Libra. Clarifying the Queen of Wands. Why do people stare? Can I clarify the Five of... We have the Queen now. The Queen of Pentacles, if I'm correct. I might just double check that because I don't want to accidentally talk about the wrong queens. Your bottom deck energy is the Seven of Cups, okay? Let me just real quick, I apologize. I usually like to be better prepared, but as you know, if you've been watching me for a while, this is a new deck. And I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So, let us see. First of all, I'm just going to triple check the Queen of Wands. I should pause the video, but yeah, that's definitely the Queen. Okay, now we got to triple check. Our Queen of Pentacles. Yeah, that's the Queen of Pentacles. Excellent. Okay, so there's an interesting energy here. With the Seven of Cups as your overarching energy, group 3, the main reason that people stare at you is honestly because they just want to fantasize about you. Like, that's what's coming to mind. It was similar from the first part of your reading. People like thinking about you. People like looking at you. People like imagining themselves in your shoes. People do romanticize you and your life. I think that you have a lot of people who imagine what it's like to be you. It's not even like romance, like, oh, I wish I could date so-and-so. It's like, I don't know, I want to be group 3. So I hope that that's not too creepy, but that's like the main reason that people stare at you, is because they literally imagine what it would be like to be you. They literally imagine like what it would be like to be in your shoes and the kind of opportunities that you have. I heard the privilege that you may have, so that's interesting. We also have, like, I don't know if I agree with that, okay? That's what other people are saying, apparently. With the Ten of Swords reversed and the Two of Wands upright, people do see you as someone that has opportunities and options. They assume, based upon looking at you, that you are someone who seems to see the brighter side of life. You come across as an optimistic mind, a fun, kind of light-hearted energy. And I see with the Ten of Swords that the main reason that people look at you is because there's something very refreshing about you. You help people kind of get distracted from pain that is almost too familiar that we forget it's there, you know? There's something actually, like, you're someone that people like to imagine and look at and think about and stare at, and I'm sorry that you're in this position, but that is generally the reason why people like to stare at you, especially with the Two of Wands. There's this feeling of escapism. Like, people like to stare at you because you are somebody's like guilty pleasure. You are a lot of people's form of escape, and they like to imagine what it would be like to be you. I do think that people see you as someone who has like a spark. Like, people almost project you as someone who sparks from the inside, and in a way that they don't, or in a way that they wish they did. You come across as just a very like zesty person, if that makes sense. You have this spark inside you, especially because we did have that Ace of Wands as well, and I see it again in the Two of Wands. It's almost like people see themselves as this sort of dull wand, and you're this wand that is still sparking with inspiration and ideas and creativity and youthfulness, which is really coming in strongly. You have this buzzing energy about you that really attracts people and makes people want to use that in their own minds as like a form of escape. Now, with the Five of Cups reversed and the Three of Pentacles reversed, these two cards are kind of saying that there is this feeling of you just kind of keep moving, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. I feel like people stare at you because they are in awe at the way that you seem to treat situations, especially if they only see you like in an off chance. I don't know if you walk around with a smile on your face, group 3, or if you just genuinely have like a nice resting face, but people see you as someone who like really brightens their day. And even though the sun isn't here, I see that like it's kind of a moment of like, no matter how sad someone is, if they get a glance of you, and especially if it's a candid glance where you're not making eye contact, you're just doing your thing, like you really do seem to bring smiles to people's faces and help them kind of change up their mood real quick. You offer people this opportunity to change their emotions. And I think that they kind of like to think about you, especially if these are people that you know, they like to look at you to instigate those feelings. The Three of Pentacles does tell me that a lot of people want to learn from you. That's another reason why people stare at you. I feel like people want to be your friend, genuinely, group 3. Like you have admirers, you have people that want to be close to you, but you also have this energy about you where it's kind of like you're just out here for yourself. And I don't see this in a selfish way. I think that people do have the opportunity when you're in public to actually talk to you, but I do feel that more often than not, people are kind of just imagining that you're not going to want to engage with them. The Three of Pentacles is interesting. It's like they stare at you because they feel like that's the only way that they could get close to you, or that they could get close to the lifestyle that you're leading. It's like they have to keep tabs on you with their eyes because there's no way that they'd be able to practically live that life with you, which is so bizarre when you really think about it. Like, ooh, goodness. I do see here with the Queen of Wands reversed and Justice that you do give off this really homey energy, and there is this feeling of romance and romanticizing. I think that people look at you as someone who, you know, could have it all, which is very bizarre for people to draw those kind of conclusions from glances. Like, what? But they see you as someone who like is very balanced. And honestly, I get that like a lot of the people that you end up in relationships with spend a lot of time staring at you first and just sort of measuring you out. Like, you are someone who is conventionally attractive, apparently, according to the cards. So I genuinely think that a lot of people are attracted to you with the Queen of Wands reversed, but you have this protected energy about you. So I think that the main people who are staring at you rather than talking to you are the ones who your energy kind of pushes back, because they either have to come more correctly or they just have to like be of a balanced nature before they approach you. So either your guides are keeping them at a distance, or you have to keep them at a distance because you just know that these are the kinds of people who you don't really want in your energy. It feels like those are the main people who will stare at you because they don't feel worthy enough energetically. I don't think this is a conscious thing, unless these are exes who you've verbally told, like, I don't want you in my life anymore. But I think like consciously, or subconsciously should I say, the main people who will stare at you are the ones who can't actually be next to you and keep up with you on a companion level, on a friendship level, on a close partnership level. I also see here with the Five of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles reversed that there is something very much marital about you, something that's very nurturing. You come across as someone who would be really good in a relationship, at least first impressions wise. Like, there is this feeling of like trophy wife. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say that in an offensive way, but it feels like arm candy situation, you know, like people like to look at you, group 3. It's your physicality that attracts glances. And there is something about you where it kind of piques people's imaginations and it makes them think like, ooh, what would it be like to be group 3? Or imagine having a partner like group 3. Imagine being their partner. Like, oh my gosh, group 3 would just make me look so good, or if I was group 3, I would look so good, I'd be living my dream life. Like, that's how people think when they glance at you, when they stare at you. You instantly spark these ideas. And initially, there is a feeling of like getting lost in that. And I do think with the Queen of Wands reverse that you do have a lot of people who get jealous of you, group 3. I don't like to do jealousy readings, but you do get people who are jealous of you. And the Five of Swords reverse tells me that a lot of this is done mentally. Like, these are people who don't talk to you. These are people who can't come to you, so they stare at you from a distance and they think about you without being able to communicate to you. So it's very interesting. I genuinely think that you are a conventionally attracted person and that you get a lot of glances. I think that most of these glances lead to meaningful friendships, relationships, fun nights out, or fun times out, because you're getting attention for positive reasons. But I also think group 3 that, did I keep calling you group 2? I apologize if I did. I also think group 3 that like you get a lot of jealous people as well who kind of wish they were you, and they try to imagine what it would be like to be you, which is honestly just very bizarre to me. I don't think like that personally, so it's very hard to imagine that. But let's get some charms now, and we'll see if they can tell us anything else more specific for group 3, please, Spirit. Why do people stare at group 3? Yeah. Okay, we got a little more. I wasn't expecting to get that much, if I'm honest with you. I just wanted one more, but beggars can't be choosers. All right, let's get them back into frame. So, in terms of your charms, the first charm that came out, I believe, was this precious one. And this was my sister's little doohickey. I don't know what she used to call it. I think she called it her precious. But I took it from her because she left it in my car for way too long, and it's a part of my charms now. So this is my precious now. And this shows me that you are this beautiful light that a lot of people admire. You come across as someone that people like to look at. You look good, group 3. You look good. And I do think that that means that you generate a lot of jealousy, but genuinely, or should I say generally, the main reason that people stare at you is because they want to. They want to look at you and admire you. You do have a lot of admirers, group 3. Now, you also got this. So I feel like other people like to stare at you because they want to figure out how to get close to you. There's a feeling of coming into your inner circle. So I feel like, especially if you are fairly outgoing or if you have an active social life somehow, I think that people want to be a part of your inner circle and they want to get closer to your inner circle. I am seeing here with these two clarity charms that people do try to stare at you to figure you out. Like, there is a feeling of like you present yourself as someone who's very open-hearted, or like what you see is what you get. And yes, that's something that people appreciate. And I also think that those who like linger with their stares are genuinely trying to figure out, like, is that really what group 3 is like, or is there something more to them? And I do think that because you present as like this open, honest, authentic blank canvas, people do end up getting stuck in sort of daydreams about you with this confusion charm. This one is talking about the 7 of Cups again, and this feeling of like imagining you and fantasizing about you and romanticizing you. And like, again, it's that tangent of people either want to be you or people want to be with you, which is where we have this ring here. So I do think that most of the people who ended up staring at you were people who you ended up in relationships with, really meaningful connections with, like best friends to lovers, like partners. The person that you probably end up settling down with or partnering up with for a long time will be someone who will be stealing glances from you and will love to stare at you. I think that they'll admire you because they genuinely think that you're a very beautiful person. I do think that people like to look at you because you calm them, which is very bizarre to think about. But the peace symbol here, you seem to help people calm. And it comes back to that Ten of Swords reversed energy, right? That feeling as though you offer people an escape from their reality, like your escape from the mundane. Like even if you especially actually, if you work in a really boring environment, or if you have like a really bland sort of hometown, you come across as this attractive, kind-faced, nice person who's very nice to look at. And people like to take what they see with you and expand upon that in their imagination. So you come across as a genuine character, which is actually surprisingly hard to come by nowadays. People like to look at you for that reason. Now, we also have this little rock, and honestly, I forget what this rock used to mean, but in your reading, it feels like there's something very like solid about you, something reliable about your image that people like to look at. Like maybe you're a poster child for some sort of image, or you kind of have this like boy or girl next door thing going on, or there's just something about your image that's very appealing. It seems to be like a main focal point for people. Can we clarify what that is, please, Spirit? Like, is it their face? I might have to use my deck because I haven't shuffled those cards back in. What is this thing that people like to gravitate towards with group 3? It's your body. We got the Devil card coming out. I want to get you drunk. What part of their body, though? Your eyes. I don't know if you will, but I just saw the word see. 9 of Pentacles, yeah. It's a physical part of your body in the 7 of Wands. Your eyes, people find a lot of comfort in looking into your eyes. Your eyes come across as very like what you see is what you get. And with the 9 of Pentacles, this also feels like your teeth, interestingly enough. I think of this as like, I don't know, like your health. So you come across as a healthy person. I don't know if that makes sense. That's such a weird compliment, but hey, different cultures, different things. It feels like you're a nice person to look at because you just look healthy. You have nice eyes, nice teeth, apparently. And the 7 of Wands over here is saying that like your energy just pulls people in. You're very physically attractive. It's not any one thing. Like if you ask your family, like, hey, what's most attractive about me? They might say, oh yeah, you got nice eyes. You got nice teeth. I just think you're just a pretty person. Like that's what it feels like in general. That's what they would say. Now, the diamond coming out really does amplify that energy. This diamond charm is in here for a reason. It's like the most like precious sign of commitment and proposal. So I do think that people are very dazzled by you. You come across as someone who is like easy to look at, but there is more depth there. Like I think of a diamond as someone who's multifaceted as well. So, and also diamonds are like your traditional, at this point in time, like rock, right? Like gem. Like yes, we're starting to gravitate towards like other gems and people have their own individual preferences, but at the moment we're still very much like on engagement rings. We still very much associate those meaningful moments of our lives in terms of jewelry with diamonds. So I do think that you bring a lot of meaning to people's lives, and I feel like this is something that in the very simplest just brightens people's days with this charm. Like you just a bright, shining, fun energy to look at. And then with the button here, I do think that you help like bring people together. Your energy does bring people together. So I'm kind of seeing like somebody like buttoning up their shirt and the two sides of the shirt coming together. That's what it feels like. So group 3, this has been as bizarre as group 1 and 2's reading, but I hope it helped kind of you understand why people stare at you most often. If anything, I hope it was a massive confidence boost, because apparently the main reason that people stare at you is because you are conventionally attractive and kind and someone who's really nice to look at. So I hope in the very least that raised your spirits. This has been a very bizarre reading for me to do. So as always, just take what resonates. Don't let the rest take from you. Thank you so much for all of your support, and I shall see you in another video. Bye. Hello, Group 4, and welcome. If you guys chose this shell, then this is going to be your reading. Now, this has been a very interesting reading so far, to say the least. You guys, people are weird. I honestly, the truth of the situation is they will stare at you for many, many reasons. Now that I'm up to your group, I've finished filming 1, 2, 3 groups. You're the 4th. And what I've learned is that people are super strange. So we're going to aim to get you as much clarity. And my overall goal is that this reading will just be entertaining, to say the least. But I think that the truth is people will stare at you for anything. Like, oh, it's crazy. So why do people stare at you, Group 4? We have adjustments are required, the 3rd quarter moon coming out. We're doing oracle cards first and then some tarot. We also have quirky coming out for you. We also have together. Getting some Aquarius vibes from you guys. And we also have growing. Okay, Aquarius, Pisces. Now, from my oracle deck, we have you are my everything, the 10 of Pentacles. Because remember, these are strangers. So this is going to be reversed. They don't know you, but they want to. We also have the Fool. I am ready. Oh my days. And we also have the 5 of Swords. I meant what I said and I said what I meant. Period. I have so much energy for you guys now. I just had dinner. I'm feeling like just ramped up again. I had no energy before, so lucky I took my time to come back for you. Group 4, you have some interesting messages. First of all, you come across as someone that people are very intrigued by. And I think that honestly, what I'm noticing is that each of the 4 groups, yes, that's probably the main reason that somebody's going to want to look at you, is because they find you attractive in some way. But you guys are a little bit, well, quirky is probably the best way to say it. You have something about you that people need a second to figure out. I'm feeling like people can't just steal glances because your physical appearance requires a detailed look. It requires someone to take time to absorb what it is that you are serving. And I'm getting a lot of sass with this energy as well. So I feel like the people who stare at you genuinely like admire the way that you carry yourself and your little quirks. Like some of you guys may be really awkward. It makes me think of my sister. She's very like quirky sometimes, and that's mostly because she's just kind of when she interacts with people, it comes across as very awkward sometimes. So it kind of gives me those vibes. But I do think, Group 4, that a lot of people will, like, the main reason that people stare at you is because they're trying to figure you out. You don't seem to, like, the way you act is different to kind of what you say sometimes. I feel like you're very mismatched in first impressions. Like, people will look at you and then they'll hear you and it'll be like, what? And so they want to just kind of figure you out. They take that little bit longer to actually figure you out. So adjustments are required. This 3rd quarter moon is giving me the most energy that people really do take time to understand you better, because I think that what you present is literally only a fraction of what people see, in the sense of you're very deep, or there's many layers to you, one of the 2. And different to Group 3, you guys are a bit secretive, and I don't think this is intentional, but it's just kind of like, I don't know you, so I'm not going to tell you everything or show you everything. Like, this is just how I choose to express myself in public or in front of strangers, and people can tell that there's a whole other side to you that is full of a lot more depth and quality. So they do stare because they want to understand that side a bit better and give you that kind of opportunity, what they think is an opportunity to get to know you better. But I see that for many of you, you don't really care for that. Like, you're kind of just vibing, doing your own thing. I feel like an oblivious kind of nature to you as well. Like, I don't think you guys realize how many glances you get. Or I think that either that or you get really uncomfortable when people stare at you. So there is this feeling of you don't really appreciate or know. Let's say that, because I don't want to tell you what you should or shouldn't be appreciating. That's up to you. But it feels like you don't know how many people are actually glancing your way And I see with the Fool here, this is giving us Aquarius energy. I'm ready. Promotion. It feels like a lot of people look at you because you have this naivete about you, this youthfulness about you, this really kind of fresh energy about you. And I feel like this is a first impression. I don't think it's an accurate representation of what you're truly like. I think that while you may look very youthful and innocent and naive, I do think that there is more to you. And I think that this Fool card is like people kind of a little bit like super intrigued, but also concerned. Like this person, like who they need to be accompanied, like who lost their, their innocent soul? Somebody come pick up your innocent soul in aisle 23. Like it feels like people kind of see you as this thing that needs to be like protected in some ways. It's so crazy that they get that from a glance. But with Together here, it feels like, I don't know, like you need to be protected in some way, which is so interesting. Now, Together is also giving me this feeling of like getting closer to you. Like literally, there's two people in here and they're holding each other. It's a real card of coming together and merging with another energy. So people look at you because they do want to get to know you better. They do want to see the other side to you. They're very intrigued. They know that the way that you're showing yourself isn't a true reflection of who you are. And I feel like we could say that about anybody, but that is why you'll find most people staring at you, is because they're trying to get to know you better. They're trying to figure you out and they're trying to see that other side of you. So remember that, because I do think that you either don't acknowledge their stares, or you're just not comfortable with them, or you genuinely don't realize how many people are wanting to get close to you, are wanting to look at you and understand you better. The Five of Swords reversed is somebody walking away, or just really awkward communication, really kind of chunky and clunky and fumbly, and Michael Cera kind of making you feel uncomfortable with his weird personalities. It's a little bit goofy and cute, but it feels very awkward. And I'm sweating. So I do think that people stare at you to kind of, their mind's ticking over. Their mind's like, tick, 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 tick. What's going on with group 4? Who are they really? It feels very clunky. That's what it feels like. And I think I meant what I said is like people trying to figure you out before they say something, because I do think that all this intrigue leads to a lot of curiosity and a lot of questions. And I don't see these people wanting to just flat out ask you questions. Like they want to figure you out first. For example, people might be curious about your ethnicity, and instead of saying, are you blah, 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 they kind of want to hear you talk first, and they want to hear you explain yourself so that they can get little clues as to what your ethnicity may be based on how you speak or what you speak about. And I feel like even then it just leaves more questions. As soon as you start talking, it leaves more questions, and people are like, what? Now I have to ask. So that's what I'm seeing for you guys. We also have growing here. So I do think that a lot of people stare at you because there is a feeling of you kind of showing more of yourself after like people have time to know you. So, and I do think that that's very obvious as well. Like you may be one of those people where like you have a resting bitch face, or a resting G face. You look like a straight up G, like a gangster. And then as soon as people that talk to you, you're like light up the room with your world-class smile. And strangers are like, what? There's a whole other person in there. Oh my God, what is that? I thought that's all that they had to offer, and now they're blooming. So I do see that with time, you quickly open up and become something that is very different to what your first impression is, group 4. And that's the main reason why people stare at you, because your look, your physical appearance doesn't seem to match your personality, and it's very intriguing for people. It instantly makes us, that inner creature of comfort within every one of us, want to know more about why you're like that. Very curious. So I'm going to move these aside. We're going to get tarot now, and we're going to figure out what else. We'll get more specific answers as to why people stare at you. Why do people Excuse me, I gotta shuffle this better. Excuse me. Just gonna have to do this. I didn't want to, but... Alright, group. It's a little bit clangy over here. You stop. Group 4, please, Spirit. Why do people stare at group 4? Why do people stare at group 4? I knew it! There's Pisces coming out now. High Priestess. You had your Aquarius moment, now we got some Pisces. Why do people stare? We have the 3 of Cups reversed. Yeah, for sure. Why do people stare at group 4? We also have the 10 of Pentacles again reversed. Yeah. They want to know more about who you are, your family, your background, where you're from. We have the Lovers reversed. They want to hear you talk. They're very intrigued by your conversation, your mind. Yeah, the way you talk. You might have an accent that's very different from where you live. Group 4, can I clarify the High Priestess, please? Hello. We have the Queen of Swords. Interesting. Queen of Swords coming out. Can we please clarify the 3 of Cups? We have the 4 of Pentacles. Can I clarify the 10 of Pentacles, please? Why is the 10 of Pentacles here, Spirit? We have the 6 of Pentacles in the reverse. And just the Lovers too, please, Spirit. Why is the Lovers card here? Hey, we have the King of Pentacles. A lot of Pentacles. Interesting. You could be a Virgo as well. Virgo, Capricorn, maybe. Bottom deck energy for you is the 8 of Pentacles. I gotta stop saying it like that. It's taking me way longer to say the word. 8 of Pentacles, reversed. So, yes, people's first impression of you is way wrong. I see that a lot of people around you like to make assumptions, or they just like to figure people out. Like, you come across as very mysterious. So a lot of people will stare at you because you are very intriguing to look at. You seem very different. So I don't know if you live in a place where you're a minority or where you are some sort of different ethnicity, or I don't like this word. We don't really use it in Australia, but race. We don't use that word in Australia. It's so foreign to me. It's so bizarre to me that humans have different races. Like, what? Anyway, the High Priestess here, you're mysterious, you're different, you're a little bit unusual, and people like that. There's a big intrigue around who you are and what your background is. And I feel like people want to figure that out with the Queen of Swords. They're very intrigued by what you do and what you don't say. So people just like to watch you. I even think that you physically do things differently. Like maybe you when you point in a different way, or maybe you don't like pointing at all. Maybe you just gesture with an open palm, like, yeah, they went that way. Or maybe when you count, instead of going 1, 2, 3, you might be like 1, 2, 3, and people are like, what? Why do you count like that? You know, like there's little things that you do that are very different. People like that. People want to figure that out. People to find it very intriguing, and it really piques their curiosity. I'm also seeing over here with the 3 of Cups that a lot of people do look at you because there is this side that they feel you're not expressing, and it kind of feels like it's a serious side to you. And I think that either you present yourself as very serious in public when there's actually a very lighthearted, outgoing, bubbly side, or it's the opposite. You present as lighthearted, bubbly, and actually there's a more serious side to you. So it's kind of like a one end of the coin here. And it could be that resting bitch face or that straight up G face we were talking about. Or it could be that, yeah, you come across as very immature and naive, and then all of a sudden you talk and people are like, what? Excuse me? How does that even make sense? So I do think that a lot of people stare at you because they're honestly just here trying to match what they see with what they hear. And I think that with you, the 4 of Pentacles here is showing someone who doesn't show a lot. You're very closed off, or you keep your cards close to your chest, pun intended, cards. I also think that the 4 of Pentacles over here is this sort of hoarding mentality. So I don't know if there's just not a lot of people that look like you in this part of the world, and that like that's automatically makes you like this cool thing that people love to look at. But it kind of feels like you are rare. You're a physical rare commodity. People like looking at you. I'm sorry, that makes you sound like an object, and I don't mean to do that to you. But this is what's coming through in this reading. The Ten of Pentacles over here. People do want to know about your family. People want to know about your history, where you come from, how you were raised, what your culture is. People seem to be very intrigued about your upbringing and your family, specifically with the Ten of Pentacles reversed. People are very curious about how you came to be where you are today, or how you came to live there, what you were like at home as well. Like, I feel like there's all these questions. So I don't know, even if you don't have any like crazy ethnicity or anything, it feels like with the Ten of Pentacles reversed, people are just wondering like if you're like this all the time. You know, when you go out in public, the way that you act or the way that you dress, people are like, is that what they're like all the time? Is that what they're like when they're around their mum, their dad, their family? Is that who they've always been? Question mark. So this is the Six of Pentacles reversed. This card clarifying the Ten of Pentacles, it kind of tells me that a lot of people, there's a selfishness here. And I think that it's due to a lack of experience. I think that some people just genuinely don't come across a lot of people like you. I think that they're trying to figure out if they're attracted to you as well, if I'm honest, because you may look very different. Or there is just something very mysterious about you. They're kind of trying to figure out if they're attracted to you, and if yeah, it's so weird. I'm hearing if they are your type as well. So goodness, what's your story, group 4? Who are you, and where do you live? That's what I want to know. You can post anonymously if you would care to, but I'm very curious about you, group 4. People are curious about you, is what I'm getting. Like, I'm hearing, would they be into that? So what the hell? Fetishizing you. Oh my days. There's a question here about money or about fortune. Value. What is this question mark about value and fortune, Spirit? I'm sorry. Wow. Yeah, maybe you come from a background where, like, I don't know. You know, there's all these civilizations that have just been hard done by throughout history. You could be a part of one of those, because it feels like if you have any success, or if you have an opportunity to flaunt your success in public, it does trigger feelings within people, because it makes them remember a time when people like you weren't successful. And I don't mean to say that in a us versus you situation, because please, I'm a minority in every single country on this earth. So, but anyway, it does feel like, yeah, a lot of people kind of look at you and they think, oh, that's why they stare, is because it feels like it's a feeling of like this. I don't know. Why do people think like this? That's what I want to know. Like, geez, staring for that reason. Why do they actually stare then? How is this linked to them staring, Spirit? Yeah. It's interesting. This is probably just a certain type of people, but it's a scary feeling because it reminds people of what happened in the past, and it also reminds people of how much can change as well. So it's interesting. If you do resonate with that message about being a part of a civilization or a group of people who were discriminated against throughout history, it feels like wherever you're living now, people, when they see you, they stare because they feel like, oh gosh, like if this person is successful now, like they're probably the first person for generations that has experienced this success. And on one hand, it's a harsh, painful reminder of what had happened previously in their history with your civilization. And it's also like a bittersweet feeling of like, I'm glad we're moving forward, but what is this future looking like? So it's quite profound. It triggers mixed emotions within people. That's for them to sort out. It's not on you. And I don't know if that's even a helpful message, but you do need to know that you're out here changing people's minds and stirring some really deep feelings within people just for being you. And I think that that's more intriguing. That's more so why people want to know about your family and your history and how you came to be in this lifetime as well. Like, not just what came before you, but how did you grow in this lifetime? Especially if you live in an affluent location, I feel like people are like, wow, like, good on you, but how did you get here? Like, without being rude, like, it's not like you don't belong there, but like, what's your story? People are very intrigued about your story. And over here with the Lovers reversed, it does feel like people wish you would talk more. And I do think that this comes back to the overall theme of like the main reason why people stare at you is because they're trying to figure you out. They're in two minds of you. And they're trying to figure out like who you are and what you stand for, which is super bizarre. Like, who asked them to be so strongly opinionated? But I think with the King of Pentacles reversed, you come across as someone who, I don't know, it's either self-made or new-made, like newly made. Like, you seem to be onto some pretty intriguing things or some big things, especially if you like to show that in the way that you dress. People are just trying to figure out what kind of person you are, which is so bizarre. I don't know if you live in an area where people are all like really nosy and everyone has to know everything, because that's what it feels like. That's the main reason why people stare at you at the time that you're seeing this reading. They want to figure you out. You're very mysterious. It feels like their first impression of you is very different to who you are, especially when you start talking. There's not many people like you where you live. And I feel like there is a serious side to you, that as well as a really goofy, sort of soft, sweet side to you, and vice versa. And I do think that people are very curious about your family and your ethnicity, your background, how you were raised, etc. People feel like you are very closed off and you kind of seem to either keep to yourself or you just don't engage in many conversations. You may have an accent as well. And it feels like with the Eight of Pentacles reversed as well as the Six of Pentacles reversed, they're almost trying to figure out if they're attracted to you or not, which is so bizarre. Like, it's kind of like, why? Like, who are you? Who gave you the right? So strange. So I'm going to be getting some charms now to see if they can offer us any more messages. You've been maybe the weirdest group out of them all, and I kept saying that through all the groups, but you're very weird. Every single group was different. So let's see what the charms have to say. Group 4, please, Spirit. Why do people stare at Group 4? Yeah. Wow. You know what? People love listening to you speak. Like, straight up, people love listening to you speak. I'm hearing I could listen to you talk all day. So people love either the words you use or the accent that you have or the way that you choose to voice or express yourself. People love the way that you speak. Continue expressing yourself. That's another reason why people stare. They like hearing you, especially if you do speak more than one language and you talk that language around people who don't. Like, I know that sounds rude and snobby, but I think that that is another reason why people stare at you. There's also this feeling as though you really stand for yourself, even if it is disruptive, even if it doesn't fit with the status quo or the norm. And listen, you might not even be defiant or an anarchist. You could just simply be being yourself. But it does feel disruptive compared to the energies around you. It feels like everybody else is going this way and you're going that way. And it's not that you're meaning to. I think that that's why people stare at you, though. You are different. Now, I do think that people appreciate you and the color that you bring to their world, but I do think that that's another reason why people stare at you, because they're trying to figure out for some weird reason if you are a nice person. It's like they have to judge your character, and that's why they're staring at you. Now, I don't know if that's just because of prejudice, but that's what's coming in here, is that people try to stare at you to figure out if you're a nice person. It's like a gesture. It feels like a gesture of appreciation, but it's almost like a peace offering as well. Like, please be a nice person. Let me give you this flower. How are you going to treat it? Good, you accepted it. Yes, you must be a nice person. And with this little rock here, I do think that you're very stone-faced. So I do think that many of you have like a serious face and then a really kind, nice, goofy, almost innocent personality. Or maybe it is the other way. You present as this innocent personality, but you have a very serious, hard edge to you. So this is interesting. We have the heart pendant here, the amber heart, and it's giving me Leo energy, 5th house energy. So I'm getting that there's a side to you that is very loud and proud and expressive, potentially just very creative. And I feel like this is why people stare at you. They like the way that you express yourself. They're curious about what you stand for and about what matters to you, which is very interesting. I don't know if you have someone who wants to be followed, but you certainly have admirers and people that like to hear what you say. There is this selfish energy coming out again. So people do stare at you because you come across as someone who's very self-focused, self-centered. And I don't know if they're used to that in their community. I think they're used to being in everybody's back pockets, whereas you're here for yourself. You are super, super mysterious. We've got Amethyst coming out, more High Priestess energy. Very intriguing, very quiet. I don't know if you mean to be that way. I just think that there's a side to you that's misunderstood by your community. And I do think with the ring here that a lot of people are still trying to figure out if they like you or not and if they're physically attracted to you, and that's why they stare at you. It's very weird. Super strange, group 4. This has been your reading as to why people stare at you. It has been an interesting experience. I hope it was entertaining in the very least. I hope it brought a bit of clarity, and I hope you don't stew over this too much, okay? People will find a reason to do anything in life, and I think that staring is another form of observation, you know, just like listening, just like tasting, just like smelling, touching. And unfortunately, we don't always know what we're observing or why we're observing until we've done it for some time. So I think that's why all the groups have been very strange, very revealing, and honestly a little bit uncomfortable. But I hope that you can find messages that resonate for you. If it doesn't resonate, don't force it to fit. Don't let it take from you. Thank you so much for all of your support, group 4, and I shall see you in another video. Bye.